You know what? Getting a PMP certification is not that rocket science if you understand the logical flow of different activities and processes that usually take place in your project. So in this short video, I'm going to give you a quick understanding about the integration management from the PM Book 6th and 7th edition, because you still have time available before the new PMP exam officially launches in next year, mid next year. So in this video, in this short video, I'm going to give you a quick understanding of how you can logically understand the integration management. Integration management, first of all, you need to understand that integration management is sometimes considered a vague, specific concept by PMP aspirants, by project managers. But if you think it from that perspective, on a project, you're managing cost, you're managing schedule, you're managing quality, risk, procurement. But all of they, from the PMI standard, if you see the PM book 6th edition, so we have 10 knowledge areas, and 9 knowledge areas from them are very specifically self-explanatory. You can understand them by their name. Stakeholder management is about how you can engage the stakeholders, how you can ensure that you have uh, stakeholders buy-in in the project, and how you can manage their expectations. Same as for risk management. It's all about how you can manage risk on the project. But then when it comes to integration management, some PMP aspirants get confused what it is, where it is coming from. But if you look at it from the perspective of overall project management, understanding that you are managing everything together on the project. And I quote here Ricardo Vargas. He uses the metaphor of glue. So integration management is the glue that connects all of these knowledge areas, or all of these concepts, which means all of the work that you do on your project as a whole. So you're managing not just the cost, you're managing not just the schedule, or you're not managing them in their respective silos. You're managing them together as a whole. So you're managing costs at the same time, but you're also considering what are the risks involved on the project simultaneously. And at the same time, you're also considering what is the schedule, what is the quality, and how you can manage and take the project overall together towards its success. So integration management, by definition, you should think of it as the magnet, as the glue that connects all of the knowledge areas together and helps you to lead the entire project in its entirety in this as a whole. So then when you're talking about the overall projects management, so integration management is helping you taking that overall connected knowledge areas, connected these specific focus areas and domains together. Within integration management, what and you will see it is pretty evident in the processes of integration management as well, because the work you do in the integration management activities or processes, they are not very specific to just this integration management as a one particular domain or one particular knowledge area. They are they are they are uh, kind of basically uh, uh, they act as a parent of the other knowledge areas, if you use as a metaphor. So for an example, in the project develop project management plan, you do not create the project management plan without having the subsequent plannings of respective knowledge areas. So you need to have cost management plan, a scope management plan, risk management plan, baselines, and all of the other documents and approaches to prepare the project management plan. So you are working on the integration, but then you are in parallel actually taking inputs from the other knowledge areas, which should help you to create the overall project management plan, or the overall project management approach in an integrated fashion. So in the project integration management, the first process is project charter. And project charter is generally the first document. And again, I would quote Ricardo here because he uses the very right metaphor, because according to the standard, project charter acts like the birth certificate of the project. So without this, project does not exist. So you have a project chart on the project, and you get the official approval of proceeding with your project once you have the project charter signed and approved by your project sponsor. Now, different organizations may call this document differently, but then from the standard PMI standard perspective, you need to keep in mind that this is the first process where you create the first document, the first certificate, where you're going to call the project as an official project to start working on it with. Project charter is a document that takes information from documents and analysis, which is generally done pre-project. So if I go a bit up here, so you will see this cycle here, which is also pretty evident if you use PMBOK 6th edition. So that explains that before you start the project, you do a bit of analysis to understand why you are doing this project, what is the need of doing this project, will this project yield the benefits expected, what is the investment we are talking about for this project, who are going to be the targeted benefits benefits users, who are going to maintain the benefits of the project. So overall, you do the analysis at the early stage before you even start the project. So you perform needs assessment where you analyze the need of the project, whether this project really is a need, and the need for which we are going to take this initiative is really adding value. So once we have that need assessment, that feeds to our business case and benefits management plan creation that talks about more in details, taking inputs from needs assessment. And once we have the go ahead on the project, then the first document, the first thing you do is the project charter. That project charter then gives you the high level understanding of what the project objective is all about, what you will be doing on the project, who will be involved as key stakeholders, what are the high level risks we are talking about for this project, do we have any PA assigned resources, what benefits are we targeting, what are the success criteria, what is the exit criteria of the project. So then you have that as a guidance overall when you are implementing your project work, when you are managing overall projects. So then you don't deviate, you have a guidance, and that guidance is leading you towards success. This is what you do in the first process in develop project charter. Once that is done, your project is signed, you have the official confirmation of the project charter. Then the next logical step is you immediately start the planning of the project, and this is where you have the project management plan creation. So project management plan, like I mentioned, is not something that you create as one document and you create it, yeah, without any other plans or baselines also. It means that if you look in the metrics in the PM Book 6th edition, that outlines the planning column, which has the planning for schedule management, cost management, risk management, and all of the knowledge areas. So it means that you are performing the planning for all of those knowledge areas, taking the outputs of those knowledge areas and using them as the inputs for the project management plan creation. So you create, for an example, from scope management, you create requirements management plan, scope management plan, scope baseline, schedule management plan, schedule baseline, risk management plan, resources management plan. So you basically create all of those documents and baseline. And generally, the project management plan is uh, as a basically is a plethora, or basically a folder of these three types of documents and information. So you have the planning components of uh, uh, other knowledge areas. You have baselines, your performance measurement baseline, which is basically the overall baseline of all these three baselines. So we have scope baseline, schedule baseline, and cost baseline. So we have all these baselines. Development approach. What is the approach we are taking for this project? Are we going to implement a hybrid approach, or um, uh, hybrid approach of our project, or we are going to take adaptive approach or predictive approach? So we are going to basically have an outline understanding of the overall planning of our project, that this project is going to have what all planning components, with the details of those planning components and the baselines, along with the development approaches. So this is what you do here in this second process. So your project charter was created, that led you to create the project management plan. Once your project management plan is created, then what is the logical step? So you had started something, you you set the foundation, initial foundation here in the initiation, then you plan that you will do something, and for that you have completed your overall planning. The next logical step is take actions, and this is where the execution comes in place. So you have these two processes in execution. The first one, the immediate first one is direct and managed project work, which actually means doing the core work. So if you have, for an example, plan a trip, so you had an idea of going on a trip, and then you plan that trip, taking 1 or 2 days time to know which route you should take, what all luggage and items you need to take, and maybe it's a car trip that you're going by road. So you have got your car insurance, and everything is all set. Now is the time for you to take the actions, that you go out and then you start driving. You are executing, you are taking actions now at this moment. So this is what you do here in the direct and managed project work. So the work you have planned for, now you're taking actions to implement and execute that work. And as a result of that, what will you get? Deliverables. So whatever you had planned for, you get the output of that, deliverables. So this is why in the direct and managed project work, main outcome is the deliverable. So you get the deliverable, and along with that deliverable, you also generate a lot of data. Data means, like, so you have the list of activities your team is working on, which activity has been worked on by who, what time, is it completed, not completed, do we have any risk open, do we have any issues. So you are collecting that data. That data is then used by your project and by you as project manager, as well as your executives and your sponsor in the management discussions and reports. So that data is converted into information, and from information you create reports. Then you have the overall understanding of how your project is going on. So the main outcome here, the main outputs here are, we have deliverables, we have work performance data, and because you're doing the work, so during the work you may face issues. So this is why you also manage an issue log here. And because while you're doing the work, so you are still looking at possibilities where what can be improved, or sometimes you might get exposed to something which was missed earlier, or there may be some new requests coming. So there could be possibilities of having requests coming to you for CR, for change request. And this is why you have a change request as in also one of the outputs. So then you have changes requested by any stakeholders. You by yourself as a team may find some opportunities to improve on. There could be something that is based on the dynamics change is now supposed to be considered. So then you have those changes. Changes are not directly just accepted uh, in uh, uh, in uh, in this concept. So then those changes are supposed to be taken through uh, perform integrated change control process. And this is why this dotted line shows the link here. That I will explain in a while. Then once you are here in the execution, so other than you are delivering the, you're producing the deliverables because you're working on the core execution, you also use knowledge of similar or same types of work your organization may have done earlier, maybe from the market, maybe by you as a as you individual, or by your team. So you are also managing knowledge, which means that you are using the knowledge of the past, and you're also doing this work as in empirical understanding of how the work is being done. You're also generating that knowledge that can be used in future by similar projects, or by your organization, by other project managers also. So you have two parts here in the knowledge management. So you are generating new knowledge, and you're using previous knowledge. So this process, manage project knowledge, is about that you are using knowledge and information, which means that you are using the information available within your organization, or within the industry, or within the market. But you're also, as a human, using your interpersonal skills as your knowledge, you as your individual, your team, people involved with the project. And this knowledge which you are generating now, this new knowledge will be available for future projects, for future endeavors. And this knowledge is generally classified in two types: tacit and explicit knowledge. So explicit knowledge, which is something which is easy to understand, easy to codify, easy to write down and take notes and then give to someone else, and then that person can also understand this well. But the tacit knowledge is something which is difficult to understand, difficult to explain rather. So examples like general examples are given for tacit knowledges: swimming, biking, cycling, for an example. So uh, so these are the knowledge, type of knowledge that you cannot basically teach someone by just observing, by just giving notes or giving books. Someone has to, if someone has to learn swimming, that person has to go and then take a dive in and then try and fail a couple of times until he really learns swimming. But then on the other hand, there could be some knowledge, maybe just sharing the information uh, of guidelines, which can be documented in a document and then can be shared with the organization. So that is the explicit knowledge. But on the other hand, swimming is the tacit knowledge. And as a result of it, you create a document called lessons learned register. So this lessons learned register becomes as the document. Now this document can be actually called in different organizations with different names, but in the standard, it is known as the lessons learned register. So this register is basically used uh, as a reference of all the learnings you are having. And as an organization, you may have multiple lessons learned register from multiple sources. So you might also run a lessons learned repository. Then the next one is monitoring and controlling, which is basically that when you are doing the work, you're planning, you're executing, you're also monitoring and controlling. So it doesn't come immediately after monitoring and controlling. So this is not a linear process that you see from execution to monitoring and controlling. This is something like this. So then you have a process group, group's understanding here. So monitoring and controlling is generally on top of planning and execution. So you are planning, you're executing, but you are at the same time also monitoring and controlling the work. So in the first process, in the monitoring and controlling, where you are monitoring and controlling the work, basically you're trying to understand what is the deviation of the work of we are doing. How good are we on what we had planned for? Are we following all of the processes, policies, guidelines, and as a result of that, are we getting the work done as expected? So you compare your actual performance against the baselines, and as a result of that, you start finding out variations, deviations. And to understand that better, you might use various data analysis technique, like you may use trend analysis, forecast analysis, document analysis, alternative analysis. One commonly used topic, and which is also one of the important topic for PMP exam, is earned value analysis, where you take an integrated understanding of overall schedule, cost, and scope to see overall on this project where we stand, what is the uh, potential future of the project. Shall we be should we be able to complete the project on time, on within our budget, and as expected to finish all of the scope or not? What actions can we take? So this monitoring and controlling as a result produce a comparison of both of that, and also that is generally presented as a report. And then because you are in the monitoring and controlling, so you might find areas where you need to work on, you need to improve, you need to find out, okay, this is where we are going wrong, we need to work on this, we need to improve on this part. So as a result of that, you may find change request. Then changes which are generated either here in the direct and managed project work during execution, or here, or anywhere, because we are just talking about the integration management at the moment. But then from other knowledge areas too, we may find change requests. So those change requests follow this process: perform integrated change control. This integrated change control means that any change that comes is not just accepted because of that change request, because of any biasness. It is supposed to be considered from the integrated perspective. Okay, this change is going to have maybe a positive side on the cost, but then what is the impact on the schedule, what is the impact on the scope, on quality, on risk. So this is why it is the integrated change control, where you as a project manager facilitates discussion with your CCB, change control board, and as a result of that, you find out the outcome of that discussion. So the process is generally like this. So you have change request, you use a document change log where you record all of the changes, and you perform the analysis or to see that if all of the changes are these changes which are being requested here, they are bringing what kind of impact. Then CCB decides as a group um, uh, whether we should accept these changes or not. The outcome could be that you get the approval. If you get the approval, then go back to the execution, direct and manage project work. If you get rejected, then you just update the change log. You actually update the change log in any of the case, but then if it is rejected, then the cycle ends here. It can be deferred. It can be deferred. So then it can be placed for future discussion. So it can be then picked up afterwards. There are these different types of changes: corrective, preventive, defect repairs, and update. And then once your project execution is done, so your deliverables are ready. So deliverables also have their life cycle. So deliverables from direct and managed project work to control quality, where you basically verify them. Then you go to validate scope to get the customer's confirmation, and then you reach to the closing phase. So here in the closing phase, closing project or phase process, you officially close the project. Now this process is generally used in three scenarios. One is that your project is getting completed overall, or it could be a part of the project is getting completed. It may be a phase project, a long project, or third could be that you have a procurement on the project, and because of that procurement, you are supposed to complete that and close that particular procurement. So in this close project or phase process, you officially complete your project. You officially create the final report. You take the verified, validated, and approved deliverables, the accepted deliverables from your customer, and then you create the final report. You also arrange the transition of your deliverables to the respective team or people or stakeholders, maybe to your operations team, maybe if it is a project between client and vendor relationships, so hand over to customer. So the closing phase, the closing project or phase process, is basically to officially close your project. Close your project, close your phase, or close the procurement. And as a result of that, you get final report. You obviously update documents in all of these processes, but these are the main outputs which I'm highlighting here as red. So you have final reports, you have final deliverables transition. And one thing to note here is not necessarily that all projects will have its happy end. So then you don't need to necessarily have that all of the projects will have all successful completion. It is also possible that the project is ended prematurely. Could be that there is no budget available, no resources available, project is not of value, it's not of priority anymore. So in that case too, you don't just leave the project and that's it. You need to also use this process and create the summary of why this project is getting closed prematurely. So you also need to update all of that information to officially close your project. So this is, in summary, what you can understand from the integration management of your project management. So it was a very quick explanation, though if you are preparing for PMP exam, this can act as a quick summary for you to revise what is where in the project integration management and how these processes deliverable processes produce these outputs. But if you would like to have a focus study, then I would obviously suggest to read PM Books 6th edition uh, together with 7th edition. If you are still preparing to pass your PMP exam before the PM Book 8th edition is applied mid of the next year. And if there is anything, please feel free to comment.